Here at the ranch, we have the Ishapore 2A1 odd end jungle carbine. Let's find out. All right. Here at the ranch, we believe in picking up trash and putting it where it's supposed to be, not screwing about out in the woods. So when we're shooting these bottles, we need a place to throw them away. So here's my initiative: Guns for a Green America. All right, let's take a closer look. Good afternoon on the Empty Skull Ranch. We are going to take a look at the Ishapore 2A1 jungle carbine. I'll get to the jungle carbine part in a little bit because they never really did adopt a jungle carbine as far as one of their own. I know they had a prototype back in the 40s, which I will show a couple of pictures of. That was kind of had weird sights on the back end of it, had a strange muzzle device. They kind of found out that the Lee Enfield Mark V jungle carbine was kind of a better fit. So, in Mark V jungle carbine looks a lot like this, except the barrel's slightly longer and it's got a rounded magazine butt. So, these ones are pretty identifiable just by, usually they have the nose cone that goes all the way to the end of it, but this one was actually shortened, probably by Gibbs, which is also known as Navy Arms. I think they later became Navy Arms, but I have a feeling this was probably done somewhere in the 80s when these were imported from when they were taken out of service. So basically, India had the Enfield pattern, it seems like, all along. And when they phased out the SMLE Mark IIIs, Indian made ones, they adopted this right here. So it became introduced as the 2A initially. So the 2A was, I think, one of the biggest differences between the 2A and the 2A1 is the sight graduations. You can kind of see on here, it only goes to 800. And the 2As went out to 2000, which is a little ridiculous. So with the 2A1s, they kind of were a little bit more realistic with their expectations on the range of these things. But anyway, another notable thing on the Indian made ones is the butt plate. As you can see here, this butt plate is actually the same exact one that they used on the Indian made FAL rifles. And I know there's an Australian variant too that had an almost similar butt plate, but I think the difference between the Aussie ones was they didn't have a number inside of the little lid there. So let's see if we can get into the meat and potatoes of this guy. I mean, they pretty straightforward after the phase out of the SMLE Mark IIIs. And they went to this in 1962, shortly after the Sino-Indian War, kind of a border dispute on the Himalayas there, where they, I guess, offered asylum to the then Dalai Lama. And but anyway, that's a whole other video for another day. But basically, these were brought into action, and it was actually funny story with these. These rifles were the last bolt action service rifle. I mean, You get bolt action sniper rifles. I mean, anti-materiel guns. Barretts are bolt action for Pete's sake. But as far as regular arms for a military operation, this guy right here represents the last of the Mohicans. So it's actually quite the rifle if you take into consideration its compact size. And I know when they started with the 2A series, they went to a better steel on these receivers because they were using the 7.62 NATO round right here. This guy, this thumper. So went away from the 303 Brit, which was, I mean, slowly getting phased out to begin with. So I know they did improve the construction of these receivers and all that to handle the hotter load that these produce. So let's see if we can take this guy apart. Well, you can tell here on the Empty Skull Ranch, we use nothing but the finest tools. Finest tools for the finest, anyway, finest tools for the finest fools. Anyway, now let's see if we can take this guy apart. So we got a very simple, make sure, see there's nothing in there, but very nice little mag release right there. You just hit that, slide that out. These magazines came in a 10 round variant and a 12 round variant. This right here happens to be a example of the 12 round variant. So as stated kind of cheeky on the thumbnail about the bolt action assault weapon here, it's, I hate using that term. Anyway, it's that capacity on here actually is quite stout for a bolt gun. Normally, you only got 5, maybe 10 rounds in there, you know, to play around with. But this is this one, that 13th round could actually be the one that makes the difference. So basically, you load up your 12, slide one in the pipe, pop her out, put that other last one in there, and then you're good to go. You got 13 rounds to back you up. So that's one big difference that that these guys have. It's kind of a cool feature on a bolt gun, because I do like a good bolt gun. So let's see if we can take this guy apart. See if I remember how to do this. It's we got this guy right here. You know what? We're gonna use the specialized little calibrated screwdriver here to take this guy apart. Take the swing swivel off of here. So and these are kind of a cool little system that they have on these. It's so this guy just comes out. It's hinged, as you can see. You don't really notice the hinge when it's on there because it's just like a little nub. And so pull out this top plate right here, and that is the top of the front handguard. Look at that little guy. Anyway, further going on. And also, might I add, along with the fact that these were the last bolt gun that a military service used, the police actually continued using these into present day, actually. In fact, the Indian police they use a hodgepodge of different types of weapons. I think they even still use a 303 Brit, to be honest. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I still do think that they just use whatever's available. And so these are still in use. Got to be kind of careful with this guy. If we take a look at this right here, this little band, this is actually to help with the bedding. It's so when we take this guy out, we just want to make sure we don't lose the little spring that goes along with this guy. So let's see if we can pop her out of there. Come on, you want to come out. I know you do. There you go. Oh, this one doesn't have the spring. Normally, they have a spring in there. So anyway, as you can tell, I have not taken this guy apart yet. So kind of going along with it as you're seeing this, as I'm seeing this. Normally though, I know on the regular ones with the full stock, this would have a spring on it to kind of maintain that barrel bedding, that harmonic type of balance. So going further down here, this guy right here is only held on by some spring-loaded ears. So we're just going to get in here very carefully and pop this guy off. You can note those ears in there. So that's just held on by spring tension. So going further down, of course, we got to take the bolt out. So if you take a look right in here, after we bring her all the way back, Get your finger underneath that. You should be get you. There we go. Slide that right out. Put it there. Coming along to the side of it, you can see right here, rifle 7.62 2A1 to signify that this is in fact a 2A1. 1966 RFI. RFI is a Rifle Factory Ishapore, or they were part of the Indian Ordnance Group there. I'm not quite sure what the letters were for that, but I do know that it was manufactured by the Rifle Factory Ishipore. So going along, I get sidetracked quite easily. Squirrel. Anyway, so there really was a squirrel. So let's take this butt plate off right here. Not butt plate, floor plate, where the mag well is, where the mag lives. I'm John Mag, and I never get the wrong number. Anyway, as I stated, speaking of butt plate, that's a nice butt this thing's got. It's that Indian FAL was quite the rifle, and I believe that was in service since 1960. So they definitely had plenty of those butt plates hanging around, and that truly is like the distinction between one of these, because they have that iconic butt plate. Doesn't do a lick of good for the recoil because this thing kicks like a pissed off donkey. I ain't lying. So we're going to use our specialized little tiny screwdriver to get into here. There we go. Atta pepper. That one's only threaded just a wee bit, if at all. This thing's so worn out. So now this should slide out with the trigger inside. So that's kind of a unique takedown on a rifle. Normally, like on the Mosin Nagant, you saw that the whole barrel came out, trigger and everything on the barrel. So let's see if this guy will slide out yet. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. Kind of an inside joke. But there she comes. There she comes. You can see the rest of this. You can go further down and disassemble all this stuff, but you can see as far as condition goes on this old gal, not quite too bad. Not quite too bad. I'm going to do a little bit of research to see if that's even a saying. But anyway, barrel seems to be in good shape. Look down at the rifling is pretty decent on it. And definitely, you know, the whatever the coating is that they do on these barrels is held up pretty good. So it's definitely not a rust concern. And you know how I feel about the rust monster. That guy. Anyway, now let's see if we can't put this guy back together. So we're going to basically reverse engineer the same way we took her apart. Just make sure we thread that trigger through there nicely. And don't get that tripped up in there. We don't want to get anything out. There we go. Pretty simple takedown on this guy. It's a little off-putting, you know, because you have this receiver with this strap that goes across you, like all Enfields do. And but another notable thing too on these ones, as opposed to the SMLE Mark IIIs or Indians, the Indian version was called the Type 56. Is they have this cross screw across here. I know a lot of these stocks are sometimes cobbled from other, maybe even Mark IIIs. You know, it's got that distinctive. I don't even think you'd call it a pistol grip per se. It's just like an anti-slide part on this part of the stock, but so that way you can grab it right there. But this is definitely a distinct 2A1 stock, which has been obviously reshaped to look like the jungle carbine. They did a decent job on this, and got to give them credit where credit's due. Is they did a pretty good job with this one. It's not a half job. The muzzle device seems to be really nice, and it is quite close to what the Mark V jungle carbine looks like. Hell, to the untrained eye, you would mistake one of these from a distance as being a Mark V. So anyway, going further along here, let's see if we can get this. We want to make sure we have our sear point. So right there, just note, if you look in the inside here, the trigger has to actuate the sear point on the bolt. So if you don't get the trigger right on when you put it in there, it won't fire, basically. So when you put it in there, just make sure you seat the trigger accordingly. There we go. There we go. There we go. There. There. Anyway, back from that technical difficulty. Here we go. Basically, what this does is you want to make sure, because that sear inside there is like a little tongue that goes. Anyway, that's you want to make sure when you put your trigger in, when you pull it back, it actuates that sear. If this motion even makes any sense at all, you're pretty good. But you'll get the point. If you got one of these rifles and you're threading it back together, just make sure you slide that guy in underneath that lever so that it'll sear properly. So get this guy back in here with our highly calibrated screwdrivers. Nothing but the best for the Empty Skull Ranch. So don't want to get it too tight because then it'll start tugging on this guy. And then we'll put this guy in here with our other highly calibrated gunsmithing screwdriver. The threads on that were kind of shallow, so I don't want to reef on it too much. Now we're going to finish tightening this side, and that'll draw the receiver in, lure it in, kind of, if you will. Don't want to disrupt that bedding, of course, which is where we're going to go next here. This guy right here. Want to make sure that, I don't know why this thing didn't have a spring. It must have been the way they reappropriated it, or when they put it back together, they just said, we don't need that thing. So let's get that to catch on the threads right there. Let's get that to catch on the threads right there. All right, let's get that to catch on the threads right there. Might have to slide that. There we go. Also make sure when you're doing this that you fully bed the barrel in there, because that little cuff slides up and down. And for some reason, she's being very resistant to thread. So anyhow, another technical difficulty moment. All right, so basically what the issue is on here is this little strap right here. Now that we're closer anyway, you can kind of get the gist of what this guy does. It's more of a spacer than it really is something that retains it inside the stock, because it's just to maintain that it doesn't fully contact this wood, because obviously that affects accuracy. I don't know if I bring it into the light here, but you can kind of see it's a little off center in there. So I'm going to use this highly calibrated tool and drag her into view. There we go. So now, should be nicely in view there. We'll get this guy put in there. Just occurred to me, I probably sound like easy listening DJ right now. So anyway, now on Smooth Jazz 94.8 WKLX. Coming at you, the stylings of Kenny G. All right, so liquid smooth. Anyway, got kind of carried away there, went to a dark place. Let's finish putting this together here. And now, put this guy, slide that back in right about there. I do like the way that these are. These barrel bands, that's a cool little hidden hinge. If you take a look at that guy. The way it's milled is it's got this hinge incorporated into it, but when you close it, it doesn't really look like it's got a hinge on it now, does it? So let's slide it right up there, slide it in, put it around here, and get this sling swivel squared away. Now, take this little guy, beep, 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 beep. Put that in there, get a nice little bit of tension on there. You know how I start getting the over tightening syndrome here, so I'm not gonna go too nuts on it, because these parts are starting to get kind of hard to find actually. So I don't want to start stripping things and making more work down the road. So I want to make sure that this thing's nestled in there nicely. And there we go, sling swivel on. And now we got to get this guy, both those ears intact with those things. It's obviously self-explanatory as to which way it goes in there. Gotta love the little details though in these rifles though, these bolt guns. These are true battle rifles, you know. They talk about these new weapons, which I love my stuff like that. The tactical stuff I really do, but these guys just have boatloads of character. Just like the Swiss 1911 Schmidt Rubens. You take the butt plate off of them and it has a little piece of paper in there that tells you who it was issued to, and you know, it tells a little bit of a story. These bolt guns all tell a story. There's something different on each one. Like I'll show you with or I did show you with that prototype jungle carbine that they had with the turret style sights on it. Little things where they kind of threw the design out there and said, let's see if it works. Now, if you come check out this, it's got another cool little feature on it that I love. These guys, you put a little bit of tension on that, and then you roll this little barrel right there. Talk about dialing it in, right? So you can move it quickly like that too, but you can do a fine little incremental adjustment. See how it hops up like that? Just think that's neat. That's a cool little hey, let's throw that in there. So anyway, while I'm dawdling here, let's throw this bolt back in there. I throw it back in there. So anyway, let's get that clipped in there. Make sure I'm going in the right way in the first place. All right, with the extractor in the right location. There we go. It's got to get on the track. So just give it a cuddle. So I might have to give it a little bit more of a cuddle here, but give it a cuddle. Maybe give it a cuddle. There we go. With the highly calibrated screwdriver. It rides on a little track in there. So you just want to make sure that that bolt head is in fact riding on that track. So make sure she clicks and throw in your box mag. And I just love that release too. Look at that, right in the trigger well, ready to change out mags, ready to go. Just pop her right out of the bottom and you're ready to go. All right, let's see if we can get some rounds down range here. Let's got a couple of little targets set up out there, and let's see how she does. All right, before we begin shooting, I also wanted to show you just one of the other cool features on this. I mean, aside from the awesome bolt, because an Enfield is an Enfield, you know, they copied it pretty damn good. So bring it in, look at that. Bring it back, look at how that pops out. Slick. And also this safety right here, kind of a different one, but you slide it back like that and it locks out everything. So kind of a neat feature. So anyway, we got our mag loaded up, eyes on, ears in, and let's get that ear in a little deeper. All righty. So nice and tight. Let's make her live. This thing kicks like an angry donkey. Get one live. I love that sound. Nope. Might have to do a little there we go. See if we can get that one a little further down. Oh yeah. You know, with the amount of recoil that this thing has, it is a smooth shooter. Let's go down and examine some more targets. Check out the carnage on that. Blew the top clean off. All right, let's get some more shots in. I just love the way this guy fires. It's I mean, nothing like it. Nothing like a good bolt gun. See if we can get some of these other guys down there. We got a bleeder. Nice smooth action. Huh. I'll tell you what. Earlier we had the sight ramp up a little bit, so the sights were a little bit down. Now it just seems to be holding right on. See about that guy up on the barrel there. There we go. Those two lurkers in front of it. Oh, one was hiding. There's a red one that's laying down there behind. We'll get to that one in a minute. Oh, don't want any brass left in there. See if we can get that other orange guy hanging out up right next to the backstop. All right. Now there's that red one that's laying down. Let's see if we can zoom in on that one. I only have a slight view on it, but it's kind of next to the barrel, down to the, well, what would be our left. She's laying on her side. So let's see if I can get a little window of opportunity and put one right on her. Think we got her. Let's go downrange and see. Ew, we got a bleeder here. Look at the way that hit. Right through the cap. We got a skim right across it. So let's try to set this guy up for one more. All right, we got two left. I didn't want to let that red one go without a little bit more of a fight than that. Come on. So we stood up another guy right there. Let's see if we can get that one and then get that one. So check the brass. Got 2 rounds. Well, I'll be. Right on her. Wow, she's still standing. Stubborn one. All righty. All right, here we go. All clear. I just wanted to show you this. I was looking at it. I said, I know I hit that thing, but check it out. 308, 762, 308, 762, 28. That's a hell of a round. Check this out. Check this. Let's see how many times I'm going to say check this out. Maybe number 5. Check this out. All right. See, we have the hole from where it got shot before, but see right here, we got a through and through right here, through here, into that guy, out of that guy. Swift moving round, I can tell you that much. 762, 308 round, beautiful round. I mean, just the velocity on that guy just passed right through him, didn't even move him. So when they're full of liquid that's carbonated, they like to pop, but once they've been popped with a little bit of weight on the bottom, it's enough to keep them standing. Anyhow, before we get too long-winded, definitely like having you guys up at the ranch again. Looking forward to doing some more gun videos, and might include this guy in future videos. Just a good shooter. It's a short barrel, 16.5 inches. It's you know, just even for that barrel length. I mean, I know most platforms use that nowadays, but it's a smooth shooter. Kicks like a donkey, but you know what? It's actually manageable. So but as far as having the confidence that you know you're going to hit your target, and you know you're going to have a nice, smooth, reliable acting weapon on your hands, I definitely give this guy 2 resounding thumbs up. Beautiful weapon system. Love these old bolt guns. Can't wait to have you guys back, and we will see you next time. Well, one more look at this Ishapore rifle done in the fashion of a jungle carbine. Obviously, you know that to remain stealthy in a jungle situation, you want to hide where your fire is coming from. So, to demonstrate how this kooky little cone at the end of this thing actually works pretty terrific, it's I'm going to take a few shots. You can see how dark it is back there. It is pretty dark out now. So, just as an attempt to show how well this hides the flash, take a look at this.